Darren, you gave us a terrifically interesting presentation about how to harvest knowledge from people when they're leaving organisations so you don't lose it. But you made the point that the harvest shouldn't be just a big kind of once a year gathering up of the goodies. It should happen all the time.
Yes, I think that's absolutely critical. I think the whole point about knowledge harvesting is it's actually not a harvest that happens as a sort of event-driven thing in a state of panic. I think it's something that you build into what you're doing all the time, which is why I was emphasising that the communities of practice harvesting route perhaps is a good one to look at, and also the concept of harvesting at each stage of any process, so that it becomes something that's incremental and built into the DNA of your processes and ways of working. In that way, you're growing people's capabilities and you're growing your assets and getting them to be reused as you go. So I did show you a model that I think is helpful to identify the only times which I think extreme knowledge harvesting, which is the one that people tend to talk about, should be operating, and that's an instance of high risk where patently you haven't done the capture of these vital bits of knowledge, and you know that there is no other way of actually capturing that information if you don't do the knowledge harvesting process. But I really am a strong advocate of harvesting as you go in small incremental learned steps, as opposed to right at the end a big exhausting process, and then a lot of difficulty of thinking how to then re-embed that back into the organisation.
And you offered a few tips about how to do that and how to help staff be comfortable with that process.
Are you referring to how I do the harvesting?
Yes.
I think a lot of it is about encouraging people to recognise that the value that they're giving is something that the organisation itself values too. So if you can reward them for doing this sort of thing and recognise it, then you're going to get a learning organisation established, and you're not going to get that if you leave it as the sort of prerogative of the few, which is again what tends to happen with the extreme knowledge harvesting. It's suggested only your experts or only your extremely important people are worthy.